Alright, I'm making this video not intended to belittle anybody or embarrass anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. I'm just presenting evidence, and I have been doing research on mud fossils for 5 years approximately, and done chemistry, DNA tests, CAT scans, every bit of every spectral and everything you can imagine we've done to verify and prove the fact that mud fossils are real, number one, and secondly, they are giant creatures and giant human beings in a lot of cases. Now, they're making some claims here. The Bosnian pyramid guy and the big balls and so forth, the big stone balls. Well, they're biological creatures, and the fact is absolutely indisputable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a couple of clips out of his video just to show what, you know, and it's under the Fair Use Act. It's not for any profit or anything, but it's just to make a commentary against what's being explained in a certain way, and I'm going to make commentary against that, and that's in the Fair Use Act, and it overwrites copyrights and things. I don't know what they have as far as this goes, but copyright laws are superseded by the Fair Rights Act. Alright, so I'm going to make some comments and we'll see what it has to say. Alright, I'm saying that is an actual tendon mat. The whole thing is a tendon mat, and these cuts are totally natural, and that's where the blood invests in them, and they also let them squeak and move back and forth between each other, and that's why there is blood in there, so that they can slide on that blood. Alright, these cracks are totally natural, and what normally was in there was the bloody investments that allows them to slide back and forth. Totally natural. It's called fascia. Alright, this is basically the same kind of rock, only you can see here, this has a vein and an artery. You see that? That leaking blood out of here, that is the artery side, which is the red side. You can't see it now, it's all rusted out red, but that is the dark side, which is the vein side, and that has the dark blood in it. And what happens to blood, here there's another spot on here, here it is. This is what happens to blood. You see that? It's only in the center there. This is not, this whole thing is not all one piece, but what it does is it turns into hexagons. That's how blood crystallizes and radiates out, and usually that's what you see. Basalt columns, you see all kinds of patterns of this particular crystallization, and this is the same as that. I have plenty of these around too, but they're out in the snow. We're having a snowstorm, but they go like this, they go like that, they go like that. Those are the tendon fibrils that run in here. Now they're laying flat and squished, but at some points they're bundles, and I'll show you what they look like. Alright, these are what the fibrous bundles of tendon look like, and they end up turning into these little honeycombs, and all the way down to the tiniest, and I mean they are tiny, they're tinier than hairs. And that is what gives you the strength and structure to pull around your body, and also they lay in flat mats as well. Alright, I need to point out this too. Now he's going to talk and I'm going to point out, this is the abrupt transition. This is the flat mat, and then this will go into a more stony, mineralized portion, and then it will go into the tendon balls at some point. But there's 4 or 5 different transitions. Now listen to this.
Graham Hancock's talk, in which he said that he does not believe there is ancient concrete on this, what he calls a hill. He calls it an alleged pyramid.
Now, that's
so this facing concrete that somebody poured at some time in the past
tendon
onto this more knobby concrete, but which is still a smooth slope down,
the transition
was omitted. Graham Hancock also forgot to mention the first excavation site.
I don't care about the rest of that, but I'm going to show you something else. Alright, this is exactly what he has there, he's showing, and that is the mineralization. See all these little white dots and the minerals and all that? These are the tendon boards. You see the stripes between them? This is the fossilized tendon. And this is the abrupt transition that I talk about and he shows. And here is the other mineralized gooey stuff, and this has still a lot of the red in here, which is the blood, and that blood is the eroded part that erodes away, and that ties in directly to the meat, which we'll see over here in a second, and that'll have its own abrupt transitions. So there's another abrupt transition. Now we go into the meat, and this is literally the meat of the creature's muscles. Now, you still see mineralization all over the place. Now, it goes out further, and you can see the stripes, and you see these everywhere in the earth. It focuses in a little bit better. This is a video I did a while back, a couple of years ago. Anyway, this is, and there it is. There's the actual tissue of the muscle. And now those little holes at the bottom, here, I'm going to put it on hold for a second. Those little holes right here at the bottom are the blood that is the where it invests blood into the tissues, and this white, you see this white line running right down here, that's the next abrupt transition, and they have several of these. It goes from mineralization to muscle, and as you go a little further in here, it goes out, and right out here it broke, because that's another transition point where it goes into mostly muscle. So it's transition. See, look at this. Now those are the same holes that you see on the side of cliffs. And I'm going to show you some that you are just gigantic. This is just what it is. And I'm sorry, you have to start to pay attention to reality. It's just what it is. That is the exact identical same thing that I just showed you before. And that is the blood investments into the side of muscle tissue. And that right there, you see these holes in here. Those are the same holes, and they're blood investment holes. And they are easily excavated. That's why they have caves all over the earth. You see them in a road, all over the place. Those are the holes of blood vessels that, in this case, were servicing a tendon emplacement, which is here. But they're all over the earth, and they're all over the rocks, and they're everywhere. And every rock has veins and arteries. And there's nothing I can say about it. That's just the way it is. Okay, I always look for the smoking gun. There's a smoking gun right there. Visoko, Bosnia. Two things are found there. The pyramid that CMO is claiming is a constructed pyramid, and these giant stone balls. Now, that is a tendon strap assembly, and I will show you that right now. It's the chemistry is there that proves it. It's just a natural event that happens from these gigantic mud fossil creatures. All right, this is smoking gun part 2. That's the balls, and they find them all over the place in clusters, and that's exactly why they are found in clusters, is because they anchor tendon mats, and they anchor them in a series of places. That is where the mat was attached with a little cord that came out, and those cords are fibrous and flexible, and they deteriorate, and the balls remain. And here is the smoker right here. See him, the Bosnian Indiana Jones says these balls are big, and they're found in Visoko Valley, exactly where that pyramid is. It anchored the pyramid, and the pyramid is a tendon. Alright, now I have a number of things to show you here that prove exactly what I'm saying. This is the tendon mat that I'm referring to. This is a highly mineralized mat of extremely dense minerals and very little blood, and it comes out and they transition away from the mat into these fibrous straps, and then there's a ball at the end. It goes through that. They call it a Chinese finger trap, I guess is what they refer to them as. It goes through that, and that anchors below. That's ripped out from where it's supposed to be, that ball. Now that's supposed to hold this mat down so that the mat can pull and it can hold itself. And you can see there's a variety of them here, and they come in bunches, lots of bunches. Now I'm going to show you why I can say that. Remember this little bump here. What's going to happen if that bump broke off? You'd see this tendon mat would be flat, and there'd be a bump there. And that is the bumps you see in Peru. I'm going to show you that right now. Alright, here's those tendon mats. That's the same tendon mats. Now, they've been stood up here somehow and so forth, but those are the bumps. And if you can look, that is where the strap would have come out. and would have gone this way and attached to a ball somewhere. Same thing here. Now, this is natural. Nobody carved that into there. These little things step all by themselves, and they would have broken as a natural event. And if you look carefully, you'll see that these patterns, nobody plastered anything on here. Those are the square and the elongated patterns of tendon straps. And I'll show you what they look like in living tissue. All right, these are the different types of tendons. They invest differently in different ways. There's tendon enthesis points that attach in different ways, and there's Sharpie's fibers and fibrils and all this business. Now, these are natural. You see these lines here? Those are natural breaks between the tendon lines. Every one of those fibers is a tiny, tiny, tiny little fiber, and every one of those fibers is separated from the other fiber. So there is natural separations on the fibers. And when you get into fibers and mats, the size of what we're talking about, that he's literally thinking that's a pyramid. Well, it's a tendon mat, and at the other end of them is the fiber, the investment balls. Now, there's other types of a wavy looking pattern. Then there's, of course, these here we talked about, and these make spectacular slides for kids and everything. I'll show you that. And they're easily carved because they are layered. And that's the other thing. These older layered, that must be something. That's not. It has nothing to do with anything other than life. Everything that he showed at 100% life. I saw not one single sign of anything other than life. And the abrupt transitions between tendinous fibers he showed, the fiber balls are in that area. It's no question what it is. So let's go on. Let me show you this bottom one here, this lacy looking one. I'm going to show you what that looks like in true anatomy, because everything on the earth is anatomy. And all of what they call foliations of the earth are identical to what you're looking at here, and to meat and to muscles. And they even call them by the same name, sinuous and everything else. And it's just amazing they don't understand that that's what they came from. And then you have the red and the black iron oxides in these things very close to each other quite often, because they are, you see here, the red and the black? They are the blood investments, and one of them is arterial, which has extra oxygen. It's red, and the other one is depleted, and it's coming back, and it's black. Or in the body, it's blue usually. So anyway, remember this bottom one. I'm going to show you this, and then we'll move forward. All right, this is the same tendinous material we saw at that bottom shot of the living tissues. They're all the same age, so don't worry about which one's younger or older. But some are carved, easily carved, and some are not. Now that red is the blood investment, and that's what it is. Now these are mountains or hills, whatever you want to call them, but they're extremely large, and that Bosnian pyramid is the exact same thing. And at the end of them is the tendon balls. This is the tendon balls that I'm talking about, and they are on, in this case, it happens to be supported by its strap, which it did not erode yet. And if you look very carefully at the architecture of the design of the strap, and one will be the, this side is going to be your arterial, the dark side. This side is your, this side is your vein side, the depleted side. This side is your arterial side, and it's leaking the blood out of here. This originally was a full-size ball, and that's the tendon implant. That is the strap that went back to the muscle fiber or the tendon mat that was underneath. And this is the way they will, that's the look of them, and that is how they fossilize and petrify in mud, which is what happened at the Great Flood, and that's what killed all these giant creatures. And it was the section that broke away where it caught onto the ball to invest itself. And those fibers wear away. And I'll show you one that I have here. Hold on one second. All right, you may have a hard time seeing this. I've been doing this for years, so you'll probably be able to see this. You see that ball? You see that round structure? That's the ball we're talking about. This was broken off and eroded, but that strap is right there. You see, that was where the strap goes, and those are the blood investments that are in that strap. And they go back, that strap went right up over here like this, and went to the flat strap muscle. You see this? This is where the This is what would let the thing go back and forth. That is, you see how fibrous that is, how easily that erodes and wears away? That's what happened, and then it went into this flat mat. And that's what these are. It's what it is. Now, that is the ball that would have had invested, and that is all the blood slurpy stuff that's around it. It's called, I believe it's called leucine-rich proteins. It's red and bloody, and that protects the under tissue from being torn apart by the spikiness of this thing, and that is spiky, and I'm talking about spiky. That is, it hurts when you scratch your hand on it. And he talks about the strength and the tensile strength. That is some tough stuff. And there's a whole batch of these tendons. They're all over, and they invest all over. Now this was, I don't know, in a fire or something. Or this even could be a meteorite, because the same thing exists in outer space. The identical same stuff. Comet 67P is a tendon. That's just what it is. So that's what it is, and that's I can't tell you anything else. Truth is truth. This was a tendon mat, just like the ones he's got talking about in a pyramid. Only this is kind of, smaller. All right, this is one of those tendon assemblies. You see the ball right there, that ball at the end. This was a regular ball, and then these things on the top here was another strap that slid back and forth, and that's the slurpy material in between. And there would have been another ball attached to this out here further, as we saw the straps before. Now, what I want you to look at is here this is totally safe. See, there's the Chinese finger trap that the ball went through. It's hanging through here, and then of course it came back and attached to the mat back here that ran back this way. That's the abrupt transition where it breaks away from the mat. Now, inside of here is olivine and plagioclasis. You see those little tiny inclusions in there, those little white spots? Those are the the tendon fibrils. And this rind around the outside is the fascia and what they call synovial sheath that this thing slides in and out through. Everything in your body, and if you looked at this, everything in your body is composed of minerals, and it's also surrounded by fascia, and the fascia protects it and keeps it from being invaded by other parts of the body, really. And it does the same thing when it's petrifying. It keeps it from getting invaded by it keeps it separated from the other elements, and that's why they come out in perfect but you can see how perfect that is. The Chinese finger trap is there and everything. That little the ball came through it. It's just how they petrify. Now, and here's one that petrify in a different manner, and this one here, as you can see, there's all holes in there. Now, that indicates to us that this one here had a special condition that it petrified in, but it's the same. And you can see here, it's the same stuff, but you can see down here that all of that, the fibers are eaten away by, we believe it's got something to do with pH, and it attacks a particular molecule in there, and turns it into some form of a liquid, and it runs out of here. It's the chemistry, and these are all wet fossils. They're all petrified in wet conditions, and that's why we call them mud fossils. And it's all product of the Great Flood, primarily. I mean, there's other flood events that have caused things, but primarily these things were caused by the Great Flood. And it says in the text that this was caused to kill off giant creatures, and these were giant creatures. So that's just the case. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're reporting. You make up your own mind, but that's what it appears, and the evidence supports it, and no other evidence supports any other conclusions. And creation is obviously now extremely well supported, and evolution never really was supported by anything. Big Bang is really kind of silly. Everything created from nothing, and then it started with just hydrogen, which has no neutrons, and then the neutrons somehow appeared, and then all the molecules bumped together and started writing poetry and singing songs and machine gunning others on the weekends. Doesn't make sense to me. the story of creation, the story that is told in the myths, appears to be the story that we should be looking at a little closer. And that's my take. Go to Mudfossil University on YouTube channel. Make up your own mind, no consequences. Nobody's going to hurt you there.